Welcome to The Mix. I'm Leslie Lake.
And I'm Bridget Kelly.
According to the American Cancer Society, skin cancer is the most common form of cancer.
That's right. Nearly half of all cancers are some form of skin cancer. But when detected early, non-melanoma skin cancers have a cure rate of 95%.
On the other hand, melanoma is the most dangerous skin cancer and is on the rise in the U.S. It's reported that nearly 8,000 people will die from this particular disease this year.
Now, here to tell us what we can do to prevent skin cancer, as well as how to detect it early and discuss treatments with your doctor, is board-certified cosmetic dermatologist Dr. Lori Klein. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Klein. Let's just start off with the brief difference between melanoma and non-melanoma cancers.
Well, melanoma is very often life-threatening if it's not treated. Non-melanoma skin cancers, luckily, are the most common type, however. So you have basal cell and squamous cell carcinomas. Those are the most common type of skin cancer in general, especially basal cell carcinomas. And those are very treatable, and they usually do not cause any life-threatening illness.
Do the life-threatening and the non-life-threatening skin cancers look the same? What are we looking for?
No, absolutely different, actually. There are exceptions, of course, to every rule, but melanomas tend to be brown or black in color most of the time, and basal cell and squamous cell carcinomas usually are pink or red.
Okay. Let's get into some of those treatments. There's surgeries, there's Mohs. Can you explain those to us?
Well, Mohs surgery is usually used for basal cell and sometimes squamous cell carcinoma. Great for ones that are either recurrent or located on the face or located in a cosmetically important area where you don't have a whole lot of skin to work with, like the nose. Okay. And certain doctors, they're usually almost always dermatologists, are specializing or are especially trained in Mohs surgery, where a patient will come in and the cancer will be taken out in levels so that you get to see the levels under the microscope as you're taking them out, and then you're 99 to 100% sure you get it all.
It's a lot more conservative cosmetically because you don't have to take away as much
Exactly.
skin. I think we've all have friends at this point who've gone through this experience. Do the people are awake during this procedure?
Yes, it's just like a normal dermatology procedure, but it's done in stages, and you just read a book in between the stages and relax, and then when it's all done and all the cancer's taken out, which could be 20 minutes or it could be 2 hours, then the doctor closes it up and makes it nice, and you go home.
Relax, take it easy.
And non-melanoma cancers, melanomas, are usually excised with a very wide margin, and usually it leaves a much bigger scar. You don't use Mohs procedure for it, and sometimes you do have to do that under general anesthesia if it's a very large lesion.
Okay, what are we looking for? What kinds of abnormalities and colors and things like that are we looking for on our skin?
In melanoma? All right, let's talk about melanoma first. In melanoma, what you're looking for, there's the A, B, C, Ds of melanoma. Okay? A stands for asymmetry. Now, the mole on the top is pretty symmetrical, and that is supposed to depict a normal-looking mole, while the one at the bottom is a melanoma, and you see how one side is a different shape than the other. That's asymmetry. Okay? Now, B is border. The mole on the top shows a nice, even, round border. The one on the bottom is pretty irregular. That is the melanoma on the bottom, and the border is not smooth and regular with a melanoma.
Okay.
C in the ABCs is for color. Usually a normal mole is one uniform color, while the mole at the bottom, or the melanoma at the bottom, you can see has two different colors. Sometimes it'll look like a normal mole but have a black dot on the edge of it. That could be a melanoma starting. So you want to look for more than one color in a mole.
Then we go to diameter next.
Now, diameter, that's not the best criteria in the world because you can get some very normal large moles, but most moles that are normal are going to be 6 millimeters or below, which is the size of an eraser on a pencil. Okay. And unless it's a very early melanoma, that could be small too. But melanomas grow faster, so they tend to get bigger.
Which leads us to evolution, probably the E.
E, evolution or erythema, two different ways you can look at it. Erythema means a redness around the mole. That is a sign sometimes of melanoma, and evolution means change. A changing mole is something that could be a melanoma. None of these things are definitive of being a melanoma, but they're the kinds of things you want to look for and go to a dermatologist if you see them.
Yeah, what's the difference between, tell us, good mole versus bad mole?
Well, as far as, that's how they look, the difference, but as far as prognosis, a normal mole will never do anything bad. But there are atypical moles. Now, an atypical mole is one that may be on its way to becoming a melanoma. And those might have some of the signs, but not as much as a melanoma has. Those are the kind that should be taken out. So those are good to have checked by a dermatologist also.
Okay, so things to watch out for. Now, the non-melanomas, they're not always dark. Sometimes aren't they like light colored or more of a reddish hue?
Right. The basal cell squamous cells tend to be pink or red. Sometimes they're scaly, sometimes not. Sometimes they're shiny, sometimes not. Sometimes they're pearly or bumpy looking, and sometimes they're flat and they could look like a rash, a small rash. But typically, if you have something like that and it doesn't go away in a month, have it checked. A rash will usually not stay there for a month.
Okay, which leads us to that question. When should you go see a dermatologist?
Well, besides all of the things that I said, if you have a lot of moles, if you have a family history of melanoma, if your family has a lot of moles, if you have had a lot of sun damage, or if you have any of the changes in your moles or see any pink or red spots that are there over 30 days, those are all good reasons to see a dermatologist. And get a full body check, get a full skin check, have your moles checked. And even if it's something you just feel like you should do at least once because you have some moles, do it, because it could save your life.
Certain areas of your body that are more prone to more dangerous moles, more sun exposure, something on your neck or your
Absolutely.
arm?
Sun exposure, which, by the way, before the age of 18 is when we get most of our damage, but it does add up your whole life, so it's never too late to protect yourself.
Okay.
But those areas which get the most sun, face, neck, arms, legs, backs in men also.
Which leads us to, I put sunscreen on better than I ever was before. I gob it on in the morning, but I swear I get so much sun just out there having a good time, golfing, walking around. What's the best way to approach sunscreen? What are we looking for?
Good question. Most sunscreens have an SPF of at least 15, which means you can be out there 15 times longer if you put a whole ounce of sunscreen on your body, which is how they test it in the labs. No one puts that much on. I don't even put that much on. So when you think you're getting a 15, you may be getting a 5. So every day, going in and out of the car, going to the library, taking your kids to school, that kind of thing, 15's fine. But if you're going to be at the beach, walking, doing an outdoor activity, I recommend at least a 30, at least a waterproof one if you're going to be sweating or in the water. And there's also HelioCare, which is an oral supplement. It's made from fern extract, and it actually shows that it has been shown to decrease the amount of sun damage. Now, I wouldn't replace that instead of a sunscreen, but it gives you extra protection.
Is that a prescription?
No, you can get it through the internet, like through doctor's offices. Like we have it on our site, but I take it whenever I go to Hawaii. I take it every day because it really does help reduce.
Now, what about this, the different factors in the sunscreen? There needs to be there's two different kinds of sun damage that you can get?
There's UVA and UVB.
Right.
Okay. UVA rays are the rays that people get in the tanning parlors, which are still not safe.
Right.
UVB is what usually gives you the sunburn, but they both cause damage.
How about on the shelf at the drugstore, the best sunscreen you can recommend?
One that is both with UVA and UVB coverage. Solbar I like, Neutrogena I like, and those are both great lines. They have multiple choices, and creamier ones or lighter ones or moisturizing ones. Titanium oxide is the ingredient you want to look for if you're very allergic or it's for a young child or baby because it's non-chemical. But otherwise, you want to go for the chemicals like avenobenzone, parasol, oxybenzone, and there's a new one called Mixoral, which I don't know if it's any better than avenobenzone, but they're both good UVA coverage.
Okay. And wear it year-round. People just think wearing it in the hot summer months or spring, but year-round sun protection.
Oh, yeah, in California, certainly. I mean, here, even with clouds, you're going to get sun.
And those are the days that get you. You think, oh, it's not going to be sunny.
And a hat. Don't forget a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, wear a hat, too.
Make sure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Klein. We appreciate you being
My
here
pleasure.
all the time. And if you would like some more information on Dr. Klein and the services she provides, you can also go to her website at Skin One at skin1.com.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Sorry.